สนับสนุนโดยบริษัท IRPC จำกัดมหาชนการบินไทยรักคุณเท่าฟ้า
ครับขอต้อนรับเข้าสู่รายการ Business Talk ทางกรุงเทพธุรกิจทีวีวันนี้แขกรับเชิญของเราก็คือคุณจอห์นเอ็ดดี้อับดุลลานะครับท่านเป็น CEO ของบริษัท Total Access Communication หรือว่าที่รู้จักกันดี DTAC นะครับเป็นหนึ่งใน 3 ของบริษัทที่ชนะการประมูลเครือข่าย 3G เมื่อเร็วๆนี้ครับผมก็จะมาสนทนากับคุณจอห์นนะครับเป็นเล็กสั้นคุณจอห์นสวัสดีครับคุณจอห์นครับ
สวัสดีครับ
และคุณธนงด้วยครับ
สวัสดีครับ
คุณจอห์นwe have to start in English I know your Thai is not good enough for our program
It's not so good yeah
ครับso I understand that you are one of the 3 winner of the bidding for the 3G network recently how do you feel about the result of this auction
Well, first of all, I'm very pleased. We have 3 blocks of spectrum.
Yes.
That was our ambition to acquire 3 blocks of spectrum. But what I'm most impressed with was the process to get to this point. A year ago, the MBTC basically took office, and they kept to a very firm schedule. We went through the frame agreements and the master agreements, both on frequency and in the industry. We went through the public hearings, as you know. And through this whole time, we kept very firm to the schedule. And just 2 weeks back, we went through an auction. I think that's great. And I think it's a testament to the vision, not only the minister setting out to bring broadband and 3G to the country, but also the MBTC. So we're quite pleased.
Many people said it's too cheap, the price. I understand that you and 2 corporations one bid at about 4,500 million baht per 3 for all the 3 slots, and what sort of the estimated price by an outside consultant was much higher. So is it too cheap? Is it too expensive in your opinion?
I think you need to take a look at it from a few views. First of all, we only had 3 qualified bidders. The reason that the 4th bidder didn't come in is because the price was quite high.
Yes.
Had it been lower, there may have been a 4th bidder that was able to come in. So that's one reference point. That means that the MBT set the reserve price at the right rate. So I'm happy with where that was at. The other thing you have to remember is there's more spectrum to come. This is our first auction.
Yes.
So when you go into a bid like this, you have to think about what do I need today, what do I have today, what do I need in the near future, and what possibly could happen in the years to come. So there's many variables that go into it. We feel that the reserve price was properly set. And in our own evaluation, internal evaluation in our business case, the 3rd block was quite expensive. And the reason being that 3rd block is used for capacity later. You don't really need it right away. So in our opinion, we think it was set at the right level.
How would you answer charges from outside that this bidding might have a price collusion?
Oh, I don't think that's right. I think we're going through a process, as you know, so that we're following the steps of the investigators. Obviously, there's nothing there, but we need to go through it. You have to remember there was 3 bidders. And there's 9 blocks of spectrum. In the way that the auction was set up, there's enough spectrum for everyone. So the demand and the supply is roughly the same. So collusion isn't really something I would worry about.
But are you disappointed that the NTPC can't move ahead to award the license? Things kind of being put on hold at the moment.
I understand that we're moving from years and years of concession in a known structure to a license regime.
Yes.
And I think everyone must understand that's a big change. So if there are a few steps that we need to go through, we all understand that in the industry. We would just like to see that process is reduced in time. We're cooperating very actively in that process. And then we move forward to license. The key thing to remember, as soon as we get that license, we can start installing equipment and bringing 3G services to Thailand.
John, are you worried that the anti-corruption body committee in Thailand has taken up the issue of the price collusion in this auction? Are you worried this will affect your business plan?
I'm not. We're actively engaged with them right now. We think that this is probably a couple of weeks process. Since there's nothing here, it shouldn't take too long. Again, I think what we must remember, the longer that process takes, the longer it takes to get that license in hand, the longer it takes to bring 3G services to Thailand. And I know that's what everyone's waiting for.
How are you responding to your shareholders, particularly Telenor and other institutional shareholders, making inquiries, about the progress, of the bidding? Yeah.
Sure. Originally, we thought it would be up to 90 days to receive the license in the first place. So I think the shareholders and all of our shareholders were prepared to wait up to 90 days. I still see that that's achievable given what we see and what we hear right now. In fact, it could be a little bit shorter. So we're advising all our shareholders and our board that it still looks okay at this point.
Are they concerned that the process might be delayed out, further?
I wouldn't say concern. I think what they're saying is telling management, please actively work to answer all the questions that there are and work through the process as openly as you can, and we're doing that.
Yeah. Assume that the license, is being delayed out. What would you do? Because from my understanding, you have made some investments already. You have talked to the suppliers already, and how's that going to be worked out?
Well, there's two ways to look at it. First of all, we've made the initial payment for the license, so the entire industry has made the initial payment. Obviously, we'd like to see the license come so we can follow on with that investment in network. But we've made other investments. In our 850 network, we have invested considerably in the country just in case there was a delay in this process. So DTAC right now has adequate capacity and adequate network to at least bridge us for some time. But I hope we don't need that. I hope we can quickly move to the new network.
In the event that you get your license within 90 days, then what is your business plan in providing this new 3G service?
I think another way to look at I've heard a lot about the perceived savings or the perceived level of the license being too low. The first thing that we did is commented that we're going to go faster with the rollout. So I've already talked with the shareholders, and we're going to expedite the rollout. So instead of 2 years to get to 50% of the population covered, we're going to do that in 1 year.
I see.
So the government and the regulator at one hand could say, well, the reserve price was at the right level or not. What the industry is doing is putting that perceived savings into faster rollout. And what that does, first of all, it gets to where we want to go anyway. Services and network and capacity to our customers and all customers. And the biggest number we always must remember, every 10% of penetration of broadband into a country, that has a 1.3% impact on GDP.
I see.
That's much bigger than this 10, 15 billion that we're worried about in the perceived undervalue of the spectrum.
I see.
The most important thing is to get that network out there and get the indirect and the direct impact in the country. That's a much bigger multiplier.
So how much investment that you plan, to make, during this transition to the 3G?
Well, about a year ago, we made an estimate that it'd be around 40 billion. And I still think, given the license that it's at, I think 40 billion is roughly the right number. So if we think about 13 to 14 billion in the cost of the license, the balance would be into network. And at this point, what we want to do is just make that investment as soon as we can and get that network built out so that the consumers get what they want, and that's better services.
So you expect to reach 50%, half of the Thai population, over 30 million people in Thailand will get to use your service within the first year.
2013, we believe we can cover to 50%.
Have you picked your suppliers yet? Or do you need to call a bidding among your suppliers?
Well, as you know, we've gone through a network upgrade the last 18 months. We have 2 suppliers involved in that. Ericsson is obviously a very key supplier, and Huawei, both in the north part of the country and the southern part of the country. We're very happy with how they're doing on the network upgrade, and we intend to use them also on the 2.1 network. So
both systems are compatible?
Both systems compatible. It's working very well together. What we're doing now is just fine-tuning the project. how fast, who does what when, and where we do it. We'll complete those discussions in the next 2 to 3 weeks.
And how the competition will be like. I understand that your competitor got slots in the middle and AIS, another competitor next to TOT network.
Well, early in the process, our strategy was that certain spectrum does have more value. So I agreed with the regulator in that regard. When we were in the bid room and we saw one of the competitors bidding quite aggressively, part of our strategy was that if it goes too high, we think that those other blocks are equally good. So we decided at that point not to get into a bidding war to see who could take the first slot. So that was part of our strategy.
Were you nervous, on that day during the bidding?
I definitely was. It's a lot of money.
What was on your mind then?
Don't make a mistake. Don't make a mistake. So in the room, we double and triple checked everything. We kept coming back to our basic strategy. Is it still going the way that we think? And there was also some challenges in there where we saw people doing things that, that was interesting or new. So we had to be on our toes all the time.
But both DTAC, your company, and True happened to eventually got the same price, 4,500 million baht for the same slot. But you are less lucky than True, right?
Yes. We had a draw at the end to see who would take the second choice, and True won that draw, and obviously we took what was left. But again, that block of spectrum is equivalent in our. They took the middle, we took the end. There's potentially a little interference because there's other users below us. We have to coordinate a little bit with those users, but we don't believe that that's a material challenge.
So the middle, if you got a chance, you would choose that.
The middle is always a nice place to be.
Yeah.
No.
But this minor problem.
Minor problem.
Yeah.
I see.
In between, are you now in talks, with the officials at the NTBC, about the progress of handing out the license?
Yeah, we are. We met as early as a couple of days ago to talk about the next steps. And all we indicated is let's work through this investigation process as fast as we can so that we can help you out and make sure that there's clarity on this. And just stay focused on that for now. Nothing more. Just get through this step.
Can you elaborate more on the economic benefits of 3G network or broadband on the Thai economy? You said earlier 1.3% adding to the Thai, every 10%?
Every 10% of penetration that we go, it has a 1.3% impact in GDP. This is a number that's used worldwide. It's a very consistent number on all of the nations that launch 3G. Where it really comes from is efficiency gains.
Yes.
What we see are small, medium businesses that are able to do things more efficiently, use cloud services, keep their salespeople out in the field instead of having to come back to the office.
Yes.
The ability to provide video services to doctors, as an example. They can see a patient on a video screen and make a diagnosis. Yeah, so it has such an impact on the economy. It's almost limitless, the number of services that you can put on top of the network. We're extremely excited about moving from network and difficulty in the industry and lawsuits to one of service and service competition. That's where DTAC wants to take the competition. And we think that the benefactor is the consumer each time.
Some critics say that the bidding price is too low. Is it possible that DTAC or True, would transfer the benefits to consumers, say like lower services? Do you think that this criticism fair or not?
I think it's a very fair comment. First of all, we're doubling the speed, as I commented earlier, so we're going to get the network out there faster.
Yes.
Once we get the network out there, there's capacity. The competition then eventually will be how to use that capacity. That either gives more for less or reduce prices. It's just natural. So the consumer is definitely going to see some benefits in value in the total package. And I think competition is the best way to get us there, not about setting prices through regulations and other.
We will take a short break and come back